We have a new sponsor and an old friend joining Envy Pillow here, Sierra Sil. With 2 rare patents and a money-back guarantee, Sierra Sil, available at Shoppers Drug Mart, London Drugs, and health food stores, is the natural mineral joint pain remedy you need. Go to sierrasil.com, SIERRASIL.com, and use the code GF for 10% off. Welcome to episode 13, lucky 13 of Gracefully and Frankly. I'm Lisa Brandt. I'm Erin Davis. Just delighted to be here with you. We have a special guest on the show, but this one, she's just a silent partner, and we'll tell you why. I'm just over the moon this week.
Awesome.
And you are under the weather. Oh, Lisa.
Oh, not under the weather, but under the porch, almost. Yeah, it's just... My mother used to call me a prony for accident prone. Just another one of those things that's part of me being me.
Wait a minute, your mother called you a prony?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That was one of the nicer things.
Oh, jeez. We're also going to play a random game of What's That Smell? And, oh my goodness, there's no prize involved. Nobody gets a pillow. Honestly, you should want a pillow.
Oh, yes, an Envy pillow from our friends at Envy, sponsor of this podcast. 2 nurses founded this company, Kim Renton and Kathy Young, and now these pillows, they're out of the ordinary pillows. They were designed to keep the face off the pillow, so there was no smushing, but they're also recommended now by dermatologists, chiropractors, physiotherapists, dentists, and sleep specialists for helping things like back pain, neck pain, TMJ, your jaw pain, all that kind of thing. And it's natural latex that these pillows are made of, so they're not an allergen. And coverings, you can get silk, you can have them copper infused. There's so much to know, so much to get out of them for a better sleep, a clean sleep, they call it. Just take a look at these beautiful pillows at envypillow.com.
And with the code GF, you'll get 10% off anything you purchase. All right, shall we dive in?
Let's do it. Well, Erin Davis, you have a brand new family member, and I could not be more excited for you.
Oh, thank you. I was going to try and wait till today to announce it, but I couldn't resist. I had to put it in Monday's blog or vlog, and you can go to erindavis.com if you haven't seen it yet. Or, we could link to it at our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page. I think that'd be a better idea.
Yes, explain about how this little beam of light came into your life.
Well, there's a big backstory, as you know, but I'll try and do it in almost Twitter length. In November of 2020, we adopted a little puppy from Kelowna, and it was kind of an impulse buy, but I had been looking and looking and looking, and like so many people during COVID, it was like, oh, I got to fill this hole in our lives, in our hearts, everything else. So sight unseen, didn't see the breeder, nothing. I bought this little dog, and her name was Rosie, and she was absolutely adorable, but she was such a puppy. Oh, I hear Dottie whining outside the studio. Rob, you can bring her in. She can come in where mommy lives. I didn't know how this was going to work today, but here she is. She's going to come in. Okay, so Rosie was so much puppy, and the biggest thing was she was too much puppy for Colin, and Janie was just a baby, so she didn't really care. But for Colin, Rosie jumped up on him all the time. She was following him around. She made him inadvertently back into the glass of our fireplace when there was a fire going, so he burned his arm. And it was just everything that could go wrong with Rosie Doodle went wrong. And I loved her, but I could feel the tension and the stress between Rob and me like we had never had in our 30-some years of marriage at that point. So we found a new home for her, and the woman she's with sends me pictures every now and then, and Rosie Doodle is living her best life. So after that, Rob said, never again. We are never getting another puppy. So in there, I heard, he didn't say dog. And we all know that puppies and dogs are different, right?
Right.
Of course. So I love different breeds. I love the Havanese. And of course, I kept looking at shelters to see if there was anything that looked small and that a senior had given up or something. We wanted a mature dog. To make a long story a little bit shorter, there's this breeder who lives about 45 minutes from us, and she is renowned throughout Canada and parts of the world for her Havanese. Havanese is a breed that's kind of like a Shih Tzu. that is from Cuba, the national dog of Cuba, Havana. And they're very gentle. They don't shed. They're non-allergenic. They are loving and cuddling and not needy. But like I say, cuddling. You heard her outside the studio wanting to come in.
Right.
So I reached out to Bev at Misty Trails last November, and I said, we need a mature dog. And she said, that's not how we work. She's not really big on communication. So I pushed a little bit and said, okay, tell me how you do work. And how it is you either buy a puppy or you take a dog, usually one of these puppies, if they're from a really good line of dogs, and you're kind of a surrogate parent. And when the puppy is old enough to breed, you take her back for a couple of wild nights and then, or some backseat somewhere. I don't know how.
Exactly.
Depending on how much Southern comfort is involved. We remember those days. And then after 2 months, if she's ready for her litter, you take her back and she's there for about 5 weeks. And then she's ready to leave her puppies. The puppies will stay there. They stay and, they get the proper time at the breeders until they're sold. And so this will happen 2 or 3 times in her life, and we're ready for it. And interestingly, according to this business model, which is apparently out of Sweden, we get paid for every puppy she has. Not a lot, like 150 or something. And it's kind of our reward for making sure that her gestation period was a good one. And then after 2, 3, 4 litters, whatever is deemed healthy for her, and she does come from extraordinary bloodlines. Her sister is the number 1 Havanese in Canada. Oh,
whoa!
I know. I'm just dropping that in here.
But she's an award winner too on her own.
Yeah, she's won Best in Show, Best Puppy, Best Cuddler. I don't know what else, but she needs 4 more points to get to something. I don't understand any of it because I don't care. But she's got 1 more show the weekend of Mother's Day and May 11th. Which is the day we lost Lauren, and Mother's Day. So we're going to go and cheer on this little girl, and then we're getting all that hair cut off. She has an extraordinary mane. And, of course, that's what they have in dog shows, right?
Yeah.
But then she's just going to be our crazy little dog until she becomes somebody's date and somebody's mom. And the best of it all is that our daughter-in-law, Brooke, and the kids, they all love her already. So it's going to be a bit of a timeshare dog with them, too. And we are so happy about that.
Well, I think it's brilliant on all counts because I know you've wanted a dog. You've always loved having dogs. And to not grow up with any animals around, I think is a real part of life. Animals are such a big, important part of the earth.
I could go on and on about her. I mean, she's so smart. Every time Rosie moved, we were on edge because where's she going? What's she doing? Is she going to pee? Is she going to poo? And we did do 8 weeks of training with her, albeit online because of COVID.
Yeah.
And just tried my best to be a good pet mom. And it just never worked. And she was just the sweetest little dog. But Dottie, from the minute she came in the house, she's pooed on her walks. She's peed on the paper. She's just lying here in the studio now. She's on a black and white zebra kind of a short shag carpet, just making herself at home. And she wants to be where I am. And later on today, we're going to go out. We have a couple of errands to run. And so Dottie is going to be here while Brooke and the kids come over to play. So everybody's getting their cuddle time with her. And it's just wonderful.
Yeah, puppyhood sounds so great in theory, but it is so much work. And I mean, I've done it, you've done it, and it's wonderful. You get the dog you want and all that kind of thing. But oh my goodness, it's very intense for a while.
It is. And if you and your partner or children or grandchildren aren't completely on the same page, then it's a recipe for difficulty, if not disaster. But I have to tell you, that since I left radio, I cherish my sleep in the morning more than almost anything. Well, this dog, on her first morning here, Sunday, we woke up before she did. I had a restless night because I kept thinking, oh, is she okay? She was in her crate next to the bed. And then the next night I put her in her crate away from the bed because I wanted to have the bedroom door open. I like cool air in the room and I didn't want her to be cold. And I heard 2 whimpers and she was fine. And the next morning, Rob got up and then you hear thump, 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 and it's her tail wagging. So if Rob hadn't gotten up, she wouldn't have gotten up. It's a miracle.
Wow.
Yeah. And her breeder owner, Bev, had her in her home as her dog for a year. and reluctantly gave her up. But she said, this is the way it has to go. We have to keep moving dogs out and stuff. So it's just great.
I totally get. I mean, I have a history of getting dogs from rescue organizations and stuff, but that is not always the way to go. And I know a lot of people who know a lot about animals who aren't so focused on the rescue organizations as they are not going to a puppy mill.
Yes.
So if you go to a registered breeder and you get the dog you want and everything, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. Rescues can also go horribly wrong, as you know, that has happened with me. And now you have the dog you want and the breed you want. And I didn't know anything about this breed. She sounds amazing. And she's so cute.
Oh, she is. She's just adorable. I don't love her name. .com is her breeder's name. You know, you watch the dog shows and you see all of these names, and nobody really expects you to keep it. Her name is .com, but I immediately said, well, that should be spelled CALM because you know me and names. And then we've been calling her Dottie. Anyway, that's enough dog talk for now. I don't want to, bore everybody with all of this, but I'm just so high right now. I'm so happy. I'm so relieved because there were so many things like, oh, Erin, what are you doing? And I just wanted Rob to love her, and the cuddles and kisses already, and his little high-pitched giggle when she's with him. It's everything. It's just everything.
It's the best. It's family. It's important. And it's an exciting time. And if it's anything like me, whenever I've gotten an animal, it's not going to get old either. You're going to.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful that people on Facebook, when I posted my vlog on Monday, weren't judgmental and mean. And I said that in the video. Don't judge me. I've been looking at shelters, and I didn't go in because I knew I would make a decision on the spot, and probably the wrong one, because I know me.
Yeah, you don't know what you're getting. You had a definite idea of what you wanted, and look at this, you found her. And she found you. I love it.
Well, from one really feel-good story to a not feel-good story, what did you do this week? Your bruises and a wrist guard and everything. Oh, Lisa.
Oh, you know me. I'm so accident prone. But what I did was forget that I was up on the concrete porch and thought I was on a step. And when I went to step off, the momentum, I thought I was just making a shallow step, but I had all that way to go. And the momentum forced me forward into our garage, where I only had time to think, don't hit your head.
Oh.
Because it could be over. And I was just tumbling like I had fallen out of a balloon and ended up crashing into the garbage bin. And that's how Derek knew something was wrong. He had his back to me. I didn't make a peep. And I landed on my left side. And most of the weight was taken by my left wrist, my left elbow, and my left knee. I've got bruises up and down my torso on both sides. My knee is cut open. My elbow is cut open. I've got bruises on both hands. My left hand's fairly swollen. But the good thing is I didn't crack my head and I didn't break anything. And it could have been so much worse.
Oh, it can always be worse, but it's bad enough.
It is.
Your bone density must be pretty good, because I would be worried about that broken wrist in a heartbeat. You know?
Yeah, and it didn't break, which I was surprised. The first thing, I laid there thinking, okay, I've broken everything, because it felt like just everything hurt. And it just hurt so bad. Derek came over and just said, okay, where did you land? And he just touched everything and nothing broke.
Not my boobs, Derek. They're fine. That's what Rob would do. Get out of here. Oh, geez.
He knows I wouldn't laugh because it's just, he says I should be wrapped in bubble wrap and wear a helmet always, like even in the house. So he doesn't find it funny. He thinks that's how he's going to become a widower.
Oh, geez. Well, she was kind enough to take herself out in the garbage.
That's right.
Oh, you know what? You remind me of my mom, because my mom, not in her later years, but, let's say 60 on, which I guess is our later years, if you look at it in quarters of life, seasons of life. And she would do things like fall off a curb and break her ankle. And she'd say, oh, it's so stupid. And then another time she was on a ladder cleaning the dust off a frame over the fireplace. And she fell. Oh, it's so stupid. Well, Mom, that one, you shouldn't have been up on the ladder.
Yeah.
And Mom was a fit woman like you, but I wish we could not beat ourselves up and add insult to injury after we hurt ourselves like this. You can also feel very grateful that there wasn't a tour going through your neighborhood at the time.
One of the things that did change me from feeling a little sorry for myself because everything hurt and I was hobbling a bit at first was thinking that maybe someone happened to be looking out the window at that moment, and how funny it probably would have looked if you couldn't hear me and you could just see me going like a little freight train that didn't stop. Like there was just no way to stop. And if somebody slips, it's kind of funny. Well, this went all the way across a double garage. So that actually brought me some humor and some relief.
Oh my God. Well, if you can laugh about it, you're going to be okay. I remember we had a cottage up on the Trent Canal up near Bolsover, Ontario. And one time we were sitting out in the backyard, and right across the canal, the neighbor was mowing his lawn. And that lawn had to have been a 30-degree or so. And he was going sideways, and he and the push mower both fell right into the canal. And I wanted to clap because we were so used to America's Funniest Home Videos. And I thought, this is real life. It isn't funny. But again, if there had been, one of those home cameras on or something, you would look at it and go, oh my God,
that's a $10,000 winner.
I think so. So none of your neighbors, as far as you know, has the cameras outside the house then, eh?
As far as I know, but who knows? I mean, I could be getting dozens of views on YouTube right now. I have no idea.
Yeah, or the hit of the next block party. You can look forward to that.
Great.
There's a reason she was out there on that porch that day, and
it's time to play
What's That Smell? So here we go. Contestant number 1, Lisa Brandt.
We had this odor in our house. We noticed it when we'd been out for dinner with some friends, and we opened the front door and went, whoa. And Derek looked at me and I looked at him, and neither one of us had done anything.
Sure.
And it was like something dead and wet and musty, and it was just awful. But it was only by the front door. And then later we noticed it was only at the top of the basement stairs, nowhere else in the house.
So what were you thinking? You had suggested somewhere, perhaps on Twitter appropriately, that it was a bird that had perished in the chimney or some sort of a pipe or something?
Yeah, in the fan that goes to our powder room, the vent didn't have a cover on it, which we thought it did, but it didn't. So Derek, one of the reasons I was out on the porch, well, the reason was because I was going to hold the ladder for Derek. He was going up there, and it ended up he pulled out a whole bunch of bird nest stuff, but he couldn't smell anything. There was no body in there. There was nothing going on there. My brother had suggested maybe something perished behind the concrete step going into our house, but why would we only smell it in the house? So we were trying to come up with anything. Finally, we opened up the workroom door in the basement and the smell hit us. So our neighbor Bill, who knows everything there is to know about houses, came over yesterday, and they thought they pinpointed it to our sump pump, which is bolted into the floor. It's not like an old country one, where there's a hole and a pump. It's bolted down there and only comes on probably never, but it's there just in case.
Okay.
And yet I said to Derek, so is that where it was? And he goes, well, we think so. The smell is sort of around there. So we call the guy from our builder, and he comes over. And as he's messing around with the sump pump, he says, what's that over there? It looks wet. Derek put his face over toward it and just about fainted. It was a box of frozen chicken wings that we figure minimum 2 weeks ago we took out of the freezer when we got a shipment of frozen food from this company we buy from and forgot to put back in. So it was like having a rotting chicken in the house.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that awful? Oh, it was just, and they were salt and pepper, Erin, the best ones.
That's the worst. Oh, you should have given them to me. I can give anything a proper cremation just in my air fryer.
The best part is it didn't smell like chicken wings, so I think I'm going to be okay for future chicken wings, but it was so horribly foul.
Pardon the pun.
I didn't mean that. So Derek triple bagged it up and took it out, and now he's going to have to saw the wooden shelf because it's just destroyed. So I put this on Twitter because I had mentioned that there was a smell we couldn't find, thinking maybe people had ideas, and they did. And the stories I got back, like one woman's husband put all the fish in the freezer except one package. Can you imagine what that smelled like?
Oops.
Somebody else had a frozen package of chicken breasts disappear, and they thought, well, maybe we counted wrong or something, until the odor started. So I didn't feel it so bad. This does happen. People do this, but I think you do it once, right?
Yeah, and there will be people listening who've left something slid under the car seat after grocery shopping, and then they had to figure that out too. Do you ever read the tale of the woman who was selling the house and didn't want to and sewed shrimp into the hems of her curtains?
No! Oh, what a waste of shrimp.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so how do you get the smell out?
Well, when the box was taken out, most of it went with it. It was still, even though it was leaking, it was pretty much contained to the box. We put towels, like work towels with bleach, onto the spot on the shelf. But like I say, Derek's going to have to cut it, and we'll have to dispose of that. That piece is ruined. I mean,
So basically, we're talking the end part of a CSI.
Yes, exactly.
And isn't this the room where you hurt your neck falling on a piece of equipment a couple months ago? Should you maybe just stay out of that room, Lisa?
I'm going to order bubble wrap, lots of it. And that's just what I'm going to wear from now on.
So I mentioned the air fryer there when we were joking about your poor lamented chicken wings, but I introduced you to the air fryer when we were in Maui. It's the craziest thing. My sister and I went to TJ Maxx and found this little baby turquoise air fryer for like $23. And I looked online and they should have been $70 or $80. And I went, yeah, it fits into our dietary plans while we're here. I'm going to buy this thing. Little did I know that with a house full of 3-4 people, that air fryer would only have been good for appetizers. And my sister ended up taking it home, if you can imagine, packing an air fryer in a suitcase, but she did, and it was fine. So tell me why you love your air fryer as much as I love mine. And this isn't sponsored. They come in all different names.
They do.
Just read the ratings and get a big enough one.
I've had air fried things at your house, and then we had that little air fryer in Maui, and I just thought, oh, to heck with it. Yes, it's one more appliance. And I went big, go big or go home. So I got the double drawer and all that kind of thing. And I absolutely love it. It makes food that I never even thought was food into food. For example, Derek likes potatoes in any form. And I'm not a big potato person. And he came home one day with canned sliced potatoes. He saw them somewhere and he thought, this is a great idea. And I look at them and, you know, my upper lip is curled. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with these things? Like, anyway, so I took them out, drained them in a colander, threw a bunch of spices on them, threw them in the air fryer, and they came out like home fries. All crispy. He was over the moon. And just little things like that.
You made him look like a genius. That's not your job. Come on. Bringing home cans of sliced potatoes. Watch this.
For real food, too. Anything. You said to me, French fries are life-changing done in the air fryer. And that is no exaggeration, because even with the convection oven, it's too big a space to do them as well. Right?
Yep.
So I love it. I'm all in.
Me too. And for chicken thighs or vegetables, like you can do cauliflower in it and make them crispy and cheesy. And honestly, watch for them on sale. They can be wicked expensive. We are now on our 4th. One of them, the Cosori, Cosori. Brooke and Phil had this one, and it's a big square. It looks like something Apple would have invented. And you pull out the drawer and okay, it works, until it didn't. There was a massive recall on these things because they went, oh, some of these start on fire. So I went back to This Is Us and the crock pot, right? But it would have been much faster. So what they made us do is you can't just say, yeah, I'll take another air fryer, or yeah, give me the kettle, or give me whatever other thing they were offering. You have to cut the cord, not plugged in, of course, but we have to say that. You cut the cord and you have to send them a picture of the cut cord.
To make sure you don't end up with 2.
Exactly, or that you're trying to sell it online. So our first thought process, having been part of no recalls like this ever, was, okay, we'll order another one and then, we'll sell it new in box on whatever. But then I thought somebody's going to Google Kasori and they're going to go, are you kidding? I don't want one of these things. They're dangerous,
Right.
not knowing that this is the new generation of them. So what we did was I used it as an excuse to get a better air fryer. And it's stainless steel and it's got little French doors and there's a butler and and it's got a basket that comes out. And so we can do a much larger portion in there. And we've had the ones with the paddle that goes around, and it's good for things that you aren't worried about the batter coming off. It's good for fries and stuff. But no, this one really seems to be the thing. And it also toasts and it also dehydrates, that's how I cook. I dehydrate and toast everything. So it's perfect.
This one that I have too also roasts, and you can set it to match timing. So if you have something that only needs to be in 12 minutes and something else 20, you tell it to match.
Come on.
And it'll hold the other one
Oh,
and start at the right time so they end at the same time. It's simultaneous endings in your air fryer. I love it.
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Our kitchens are so much smarter than we are. No wonder we don't go in, right? Lisa, I got an email the other day, and it really got me to thinking. And I thought, well, okay, let's ask the Gracefully and Frankly family. And we're going to ask you to, if you have experience in this, please email us at gracefullyfrankly@gmail.com or post an answer on our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page.
Okay.
But this woman said, I need help with dating sites. She's a widow. She's ready to dip her toes, but she's afraid. And really you should be, because there are so many scam artists out there.
Oh, yeah.
And which one is the best one? Which one is the safest one? Which one has the best matches? I have no experience in this, but my older sister, Cindy, whose husband walked out last year after 40 years of marriage, Cindy has dipped her toes. Well, she's not just dipped her toes. She is Esther Williamsing this thing. And I'm sorry, that's a really old reference to a synchronized solo. Are you synchronized if you're solo? Swimmer. Anyway, she's got this one guy and another guy and another guy and another guy. And I keep reminding her, careful, you got a hip replacement there, honey. And hips don't lie. But she lives in Mexico. So she goes, oh, Latin men. And I don't know what that means, but I'll take her word for it.
Huh.
So what I'm saying is I know someone who is having great success. And honestly, my other sisters and I were all like, oh, Cindy, these guys are going to be, gigolos, or they're all going to be looking for somebody who's going to be a purse or a nurse. And honestly, at this age, that's what a lot of men are looking for. So do you know anybody who's had success at our age?
No, I don't. And I do know other people who are looking, though, or who are saying, oh, I don't want to resign myself. It's almost like they're giving up. But I say, if you're not going out and meeting people and taking classes or going places, then this is what you do. I mean, it's totally natural. It's a popular way to meet people. But I, too, would be concerned about which platform.
Right. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for not endorsements, but anyone that you know of who's had some success on different platforms. Tell us about it. And we'll share that next week. And I'll talk to my sister. She's fairly closed-mouthed. Didn't get that from me. But I'd like to find out more about how it all works. And I helped her write her profile. She said there are some phrases that show up in all the profiles, and you can tell somebody's gone to. Well, you said this about LinkedIn, about job sites, right? That you can tell when someone has just Googled how to put up a post on LinkedIn about wanting a job.
Oh, definitely. They haven't filled in the name field. It says name, it's just all sorts of things, there are tells. Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to look into that, but we want your experience too. There will be lots of negative experience, but there has to be positive experience, because I know this is not just the way of the future. It's the way of the now. And we have to get rid of the stigma that came with things, like Grindr and all of those. Yeah, they're not all for you. There are going to be different sites that are right for different people. And there shouldn't be any judgment when one soul wants to connect with another soul.
Yep, I agree.
A lot of filters and a lot of care. Don't get carried away by somebody who says all the right things, because we know that that's how people end up with timeshare, right? It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're on Instagram for more than 5 minutes, you know what those approaches are like anyway. Oh, I just saw your profile picture and I've been so enchanted. I couldn't help but contact you.
Yeah. And they're all in military uniforms or with one child or with a pet.
Or a stethoscope.
Absolutely. And they all have 2 first names. That is one of the biggest tells. If they are Andrew Paul or whatever, and I know there are people listening who have 2 first names, but what I'm saying is that is a clear tell. Or Patriot or Christian. And yeah, if you want a Christian site, go to eHarmony. Used to be only Christian. I don't know what they are now. I've been listening to a podcast about eHarmony versus Match.com. So I'm way back in the past on that one. But there are different ones that, and there's JDate for people who are Jewish and want to meet up with someone of the same faith. There's all kinds of specialties. Find your niche.
Yeah.
Find your mate.
Find your way.
Well, we're going to find our way out now, and thank you so much for listening to and hopefully enjoying episode 13 as much as we did. By the way, Dot is still curled up on the floor on the rug.
Oh, that's so sweet. Meanwhile, Cuddles, my cat, is out of the room because if things get to a certain point, he's like, this is too much for me. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I got to go catch some Zeds somewhere else. He's Canadian. So.
Yeah, he is. And he's no longer wearing the collar of shame.
It's all back to his normal, cuddly, sweet little self.
Good. And then you go and get injured. I hope that Derek is keeping himself really protected.
He's the solid one in this scenario. He's going to look after the 2 of us. We'll just lie on the couch and open our mouths once in a while. He'll drop food in.
Yeah. Kibble for both of you. That's nice.
That's right.
That's nice. Thank you to Envy Pillow once again for giving us a soft place to land every night, every nap, every trip. Go to envypillow.com and get 10% off anything that you purchase using the code GF. All right, Miss Lisa, take care of yourself. No bubble wrap, honey, but just be gentle, okay?
Okay, and please pass along a message to Dot. Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl?
It'd have to be for her. I never get that.